Welcome, Sonali Deepika Nanjakara. Is it correct?
That's
The name?
correct.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
This
inviting
is
me.
our podcast. This is Salud podcast. The podcast usually is in Spanish, but I don't know. I guess you want to speak in English better because your Spanish is good, I guess, from my perspective. But at the end, I guess all our community is bilingual, most of them, because
Okay.
everybody in security,
Mhm.
administration, operation,
Mhm.
internationally, they need to speak English also
Okay.
because all the information is coming from the
Mhm.
United States or another
Mhm.
countries. No,
Mhm.
that is the good thing that we need to speak about. No, about the English, of course. And also, this is our episode 2, and this is very exciting
bien.
thing because now we would like to speak with you, and because you are a doctor in psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this is important for us to understand from the perspective of a doctor
Mhm.
how can be the impact of artificial intelligence
Yes.
in this sector,
Yes.
because we already know that the platforms are not regulated. I mean, there is a lot of information that you can share with the AI, and you can speak with the artificial intelligence. I mean, it's clearly like a person. I mean, if you speak in the voice way and the voice method, you will hear that it's answering you like a human being. So welcome, and I guess I don't know if you want to clarify something. If I did, and I did something wrong. I mean, I speak something wrong about your career. Is it correct?
Pues gracias por invitarme. Todavía estoy aprendiendo español, pero creo que mi español no es suficiente por esta conversación.
No, te preocupes.
So English is better for me because it's so technical. This is a really excellent conversation, but I don't think I can express myself as clearly in Spanish. I just want to say. So
You are coming from. I mean, you are from. What is your country of originally? You are coming from.
well, I was born in England and
perfect.
raised in the U.S.
Okay.
and my roots are from Sri Lanka,
Oh, excellent.
near
Excellent.
India. But I did all my medical training and practice in the United States.
United States.
And I want to be clear that I'm not practicing right now. I live in Mexico, and I left that career. But I worked in the University of Illinois for many years. I was the director of pediatric mood disorders for a while. I was also, for a little while, I was director of the training program for child and adolescent psychiatrists. So just so people understand, for psychiatry, you do 4 years of medical school, you do 4 years of psychiatry, and then I wanted to work with children, so I did 2 more years to specialize in child and adolescent psychiatry. But I have experience with adults, with children, with adolescents, with families, so I have all of that. And then I had another job working, it was a nonprofit, and I was director of psychiatric services there for 2 years, or at least 2 years.
Excellent.
So, no, yeah, more than 2 years. Anyway, I'm not practicing now, but I still have that knowledge base. I was board certified in general psychiatry, board certified in child and adolescent psychiatry, and my interest took me into what we would call like alternative healing. I like to think of it as integrative healing or integrative medicine. So I got eventually a board certification in that, in integrative and holistic medicine.
Wow.
So I had all of those. I don't have any of those now, and I just want to be clear that I'm not practicing now, but I have the expertise for all those years.
Exactly. I mean, this podcast is because you have that kind of knowledge that we need to discuss with somebody that has exactly that information from the behavior that you can translate. I mean, I don't know if it is the correct word, but you can simulate or pretending using it in artificial intelligence, like a system, like in technology. And we have a lot of questions about how the impact is in this technology, in this sector, because actually one of the factors that is approaching us to the artificial intelligence is the voice method. I mean, you can ask directly with the voice, and the artificial intelligence is answering you like a human being. And the other thing that the funny thing, I guess, is the behavior that is pretending this technology showing like a human being. I mean, it's showing like itself, like a human being. But if you are deep in or digging in this technology, is approaching almost as a human being from my perspective. But I don't know exactly from a doctor perspective, because you can hear whatever is saying, but again, we need to focus in this podcast in three different factors. For example, the diagnosis. Do you think that the artificial intelligence diagnose better than a psychiatrist?
The short answer to that is no.
This is no perfect.
But I'll go into some explanations. So the thing is that if diagnosis were just about knowledge, just about information, then possibly posiblemente sí. Like then the artificial intelligence can, look at, because you have questions, yes, no, this, that, and then the criteria from the all we have right now, I mean, we've had for many years and it keeps changing, but the latest is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, and we say the DSM, and there's a version 5. So the DSM-5, it has changed over the years with different criteria, each edition, and now we have DSM-5. That is how we make diagnoses. So in some ways, I can see how people can think, oh, well, if it's just these check, then you have a diagnosis, right?
Exactly.
The problem is that, I mean, again, we just before this, I tried for the first time with you to talk to the AI.
Exactly.
I'm still kind of in shock. I am, because it sounded very natural. It sounded like a friendly, warm voice, like, oh, there must be a person answering. Oh, how are you? Blah, blah, blah.
And the intonation either.
The intonation, everything. So to me, just now having, because I'm not practicing now and I haven't used, I know some AI, I mean, ChatGPT and whatever, but I have never seen that before. That honestly, it's a bit scary. It scares me to see that.
To hear it.
Hear it, to experience it.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's a very slippery slope to think that, oh, this is a human. This is not a human.
This is not
this
a
is
human.
Artificial intelligence is just that. It's a computer, but a computerized intelligence, right? Intelligence that knows and learns and can act like a human, but it's not human. And the thing is that for diagnosis, yes, there are these checks, are you depressed? Or do you have energy? How's your sleep? There's checkbox. This is for depression, for example. I rely, and like I said, I have trained doctors and psychiatrists as well. We are all relying on our own nervous system.
Exactly.
My nervous system, because I'm feeling things. I'm not just assessing what the person says. I'm assessing what is their tone, what is their, we call affect. Affect is like what emotions are present or not present.
When you are diagnosing, you are in this process, you're evaluating exactly the emotions. No? So you need to see.
Not just emotions. We're evaluating a lot of things.
Okay.
We're evaluating content, which means what is the person telling me? Okay. But I'm also evaluating something called affect. What is their emotional, how do they appear? What emotions are present just in the interaction? what is their behavior? Are they this? Are they this? Or like, what is their behavior? How is their grooming? Like, we're looking at everything, right?
You got it.
I'm also using my own nervous system. If you want to think of it, I don't know, it's probably not the best analogy. I was going to say almost like a computer. Let's not use that because artificial intelligence is the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my own nervous system to feel and a deep level a lot of things. The physical, like what is the physical? What is the emotional? What is the mental, meaning like intelligence? Like how does that look? How is the thought process? Like what is it flowing? Is the person like making sense? Like what is that like? What is the energy? Like what am I feeling energetically? Now this is not really in the diagnostic manual as much, but we can sense when someone comes into a room.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when I was practicing, sometimes we would talk about, this is just amongst professionals, right?
Okay.
We would talk about the waiting room diagnosis because we have to, if we're in person, now everything's changed. We're in homes, we're on Zoom, whatever. But it used to be that you go to an office, right? And so the person is sitting in the office. So let's say when I was at the University of Illinois, for example, there's a big waiting room and the person is sitting there waiting for the appointment. There's a lot we can tell just by watching them in the waiting room. Are they nervous? Are they sweating? Are they crying? What is happening? So there's a lot that we can just sense. It's a sense that we get as a professional.
As a human being,
as a human being who also has all the emotions,
the same emotions,
things.
exactly.
So we can sense that. The other things, I'm thinking of something, I'm now working in coaching, something different, but there's also relational, like how is this person relating to me? There's a lot you can sense by that. The artificial intelligence is not going to be able to sense that because they're not human.
Exactly.
It's something of a relational, it's a relational behavior. Level of connecting, right? Exactly. It's about a connection. And also there's the spiritual realm, which is just, psychiatry does not do a great job with spiritual. That's not, it's a little bit broad.
It's more inflexible or it's not flexible.
It's just, it's hard to like pinpoint spiritual, but there is something that you can assess and understand of a person. What is their connection to something larger than themselves? Is it God? Is it nature? Is it source? Is it, like here we like Pachamama or like something, espiritu, like what is it? What are they connecting to? And some people don't have that. They don't have any of that. And it's important information because if you don't have any connection to something larger than yourself and you're going through something very difficult, then you're very vulnerable to doing something or being very challenged because you can't see that there's a bigger picture.
But you are talking about that the person that doesn't have that connection as a patient or as a doctor?
As a patient.
As a patient.
If the patient doesn't have that,
exactly,
then they don't have as much of a context for, God, life is really hard right now. My relationship is terrible. My job is terrible. My kids are awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like life is terrible sometimes. There's like, it's real life. It's like there's no money. There's no support. There's da, 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 da. If you don't have any connection to something that is bigger than that to say, I know things are awful right now, but it's going to be okay. If you don't have that connection, then you're very vulnerable to the circumstance alone,
Thank you for your answer. I mean, but there is two different questions that I would like to add to this first one. I mean, for example, if now the technology is helping you to do diagnosis, again, you can use Zoom or another conference call program or application.
Right.
Can you do that diagnosis with this technology? Is a tool that you can use
with Zoom?
With Zoom?
Or with like a video?
Yeah, like
chat.
A video conference. Like for example,
video conference, yeah.
I need to do a consult for a patient that is asking me something,
yeah.
But I need to evaluate all the behavior behind the scenes, no? Because you are watching also a screen with the patient. This is not the same when you are physically as a psychiatrist.
Yes.
No?
That's a very good question. When everything, so I was already living in Mexico when the pandemic happened.
Okay.
But once the pandemic happened, my colleagues, they were all also doing video. You know, I was already doing video because I was here, and that was the nature of coaching work. It's interesting for me because given the whole background that I have and my experience, I would have thought, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much I can assess through the video. But amazingly, I find it still very, like, you can connect because I'm a person, they're a person. We can connect through the screen. We can connect. I can see their background a bit. I can see, you know, what their grooming is, what their emotion is, what their like behavior, emotions. I can definitely assess their thought pattern because they're going to be talking, and we can build a connection even through the Zoom and through the video chat. So that part I find, I don't think, I mean, on the one hand, there's nothing like being face to face with someone. Like, I'm glad we could do this face to face because we're both here in San Miguel. I'm used to doing podcasts on the Zoom or on the video, whatever, and it's fine. But it's nice to be. It's really nice to be physically.
Because you can see the emotions.
Exactly, and just get that. You get. It's on a level of the nervous system again. It's something that's the person can sense when they're right in the same space with someone else, right?
Of course.
But I don't think that it's missing. Like, I don't think people are not able to diagnose because a lot of things are on video now, video conferencing. I think it's still very accurate, and you can help people, you can connect with people because we're now used to doing everything on a screen.
Exactly.
For better or worse.
It's because the technology is revolutioning. I mean, it's evolving all the sectors now. Mm-hmm. So, for example, you can now say, well, if you want, for example, do a job remotely, you can do it even if you are a doctor. No, I mean, most of the doctors now they are working with this kind of platforms because it's better for them. Probably they can earn more money with this technology. But that's again, the artificial intelligence is starting now because it's from 2 years ago that this is working in different sectors. But we do believe that this technology is gonna change all the sectors, also the health. And now, for example, we are talking about the mental illness and how can you diagnose as a doctor. But if you are using this kind of platform, do you think that AI can detect depression or suicide risk?
It may be, because really it's about question and answer, and it's about connection. And like what we saw earlier, just a little while ago, when you were showing me, and I was also asking questions to the AI and it's answering, you could ask the questions. And, you know, like I said, it's a very clear criteria for what depression is. Okay. What are the symptoms? How long they've been going on? You can kind of ask those. There's a danger that just there, it feels it's not a human being is the bottom line. It's not a human being. AI is not a human being.
It's not a human being.
AI does not have its own nervous system. I have a nervous system because I'm a human being. You have a nervous system. Mental health professionals, they have their own nervous system. So we're doing a bit of assessment because when I'm talking to someone, I'm registering things in my system that, because I'm human, because I have met with many people who have depression. So once I start to, you know, get a sense, like I said, I can sometimes, a lot of us could kind of tell from the waiting room or from just a little bit of interaction. That's not how we diagnose, but we just get a sense. Then we ask the questions to find the details, to get the clear information. But I'm reflecting on my learned history from working with a lot of other people. That is important to diagnosis also. Now, it's not in the diagnostic manual, and someone could argue with me, well, that's not really part of what's in the manual, but it is part of being a human and having worked with many human beings and having my own nervous system and having, I mean, I've been in therapy too. I have gone to professionals too for mental health as a patient. So I like know, we know this as human, we know human nature, the human experience, we know as humans, and that cannot be replicated by
artificial intelligence or technology. It's because, well, as a expert systems, because the technology is an expert system, and they are following rules, no, or factors. So, for example, as you are saying, if it's a process answering questions, of course, they can give you a diagnosis of this platform can help you to as a tool, like a psychiatrist, no?
When you say tool, that makes me feel more comfortable. Because yes, so the patient can talk to the AI person or AI, whatever it is, the AI, and then get information, but it must somewhere come through a human being, an expert, someone with professional training who's done, you know, all the things that whether it's psychiatry, psychology, you know, all counseling, marital and family therapy, whatever. There's so many different branches of the profession of mental health, right? But all of those professions have very clear guidelines of and very clear training that's needed for someone to have those credentials. And so that way, if it's just a tool, then I feel much more comfortable.
As a tool, no?
As a tool. As someone is going to, as AI making diagnoses and saying, oh, this person's suicidal, I don't like that at all. No.
Well, exactly, because we need to check different things in the process of diagnosis. It's interesting how the technology is evolving, of course, as a tool. No, but your recommendation, for example, is to use the technology to diagnose, to do the diagnosis.
Well, I think the key thing here is discernment. We are humans, us and professionals and humans getting treatment, whether we're getting treatment or giving treatment, right? Human beings. So we have to use our discernment. As professionals, I am like if I have a patient, right? I have to be the final say. What is the diagnosis? What is the plan? What are we going to do? Who do we tell? Blah, 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 blah. I have to decide that. I don't see how we can let AI do that. It's not safe. First of all, what about the privacy of the information? How is that? Okay, healthcare, health in general, has a lot of privacy. There's a lot of privacy. It's like health, finances. We need privacy.
It's a difference.
It's very important. Both are different, but they both need a lot of privacy. You don't want that information going to everybody. You don't want the whole world knowing whatever symptoms you're having, me, whoever. So we have to be concerned about privacy, about security, about being able to discern. Does that, I don't know the word in Spanish.
Discern?
Discern? Like to elegir, like to decide, to discern, like to
discernir.
Discernir. Okay. So that makes sense, right? We need to be able to discern how to use the technology. We can have this technology is so advanced. I'm kind of glad I'm not working in psychiatry now because I can tell it's very complicated now. It's gotten more and more complicated. Even when I was a psychiatrist, there were things the children were dealing with that I didn't have to deal with. For example, cyberbullying. It's a big problem. But when I was young, many, many years ago, we didn't have that because we didn't have this technology.
Well, okay, it's not specifically with technology, but we had the same problems, no? Because we didn't have exactly the technology. We had bullying.
But there's a difference between bullying and cyberbullying.
Oh, really?
There's a big difference because let's say you have a child, they're being bullied in school. That's a problem. Cyberbullying amplifies it exponentially. So now the whole world, not just the school, not just those few kids on the playground, now the whole world can see it because someone put something on the internet.
Of course.
It's a totally different problem. Before we were dealing with, yes, a bully and a student.
Okay.
Right? One bully, one student. And maybe there were a group of bullies, maybe there were a group of students that are getting bullied, but it's just that.
I understand.
It's very like small, right?
Exactly.
Pequeño es el problema. When you put it on cyber level, come on, that is not the same.
Of
And
course.
the impact is not the same. And the stress and the trauma it causes is not the same.
It's bigger. I mean, like tons, 100%, 200%.
1,000%,
Wow.
100,000%. What? If you're going to talk about 3 kids and now you're talking about 3 million kids,
Of course.
what is the difference? Like that is just fun. It was astronomical. And I was dealing with kids, dealing with that and thinking, oh, thank God I didn't have this when I was young, because we didn't have the technology. Now it's like something bad happens. It's not just a little problem. It's huge. It's huge. Everybody can know now the problem.
And now, for example, the following question, the following question is based on the stigma of the mental illness that is based on this technology. How can you say that this technology is provoking or is increasing or decreasing? What's your point of view about the technology and mental illness stigma? I mean, do you think that this technology can help or can help to increase or decrease the mental illness? Because you are now speaking and talking with a machine. Most of the people that are using this platform is because they believe that it's a real help, because you are receiving the answer you are expecting, and probably they are giving to you a good solution for your job, for your work, for any activity. But again, do you think that this technology it will increase the mental illness of the population?
Okay. I think when I listen to you that you're asking a few different things. Okay. One thing is stigma.
Okay.
One thing is stigma. Stigma is about, like, stigma of mental illness is like people don't want to see a doctor, a psychologist, a professional, because there's stigma. I don't want to be someone who has a mental illness. There's stigma. Like there's a notion, an attitude, a belief that mental illness is bad. That means you're crazy. That means you're crazy. You know, like that kind of stuff. That's stigma. So there's stigma. And then you're talking about, I think you were also asking me if this technology can maybe increase mental illness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So two different things.
Two different things.
So let's talk about those. So stigma. Now, when it comes to stigma, I think maybe the AI or just, I think education helps reduce stigma. So when we understand, look, 1 in 5 people gets depressed. That's a lot of people. 1 in 5, 20%. That's a lot of people. So then when we understand that, it's like if we're feeling depressed or we have all the different, symptoms of depression, we can feel like, oh, but a lot of people feel like me. And that lowers stigma, because we feel more like, okay, I have this, but so many other people have this. And here I'm talking to this AI, whatever, person in AI, and I feel more comfortable because, okay, it's making it more normal. It's making it more like there's not something really wrong with us, because that's the big thing with mental illness, that a lot of people who have something that they're struggling with, they feel like something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I have problems and no one understands. I'm different. No one can help me. It's hopeless. I'm helpless. Like all those things are part of like a stigma. And if someone can feel more comfortable and learn about anxiety, depression, all the different things, then I think the stigma is less, because it's like, okay, I am feeling this, but I'm not alone. There are other people who feel this, because maybe you learn the statistics, or maybe the AI says, oh, you're not alone or something. I don't know. But I think, again, we have to be careful from an AI versus a human being. But as long as a person can feel Like a big part of treatment is to not feel isolated, to feel a connection to someone else. And as I always, like some of my teachers have told me, and I fully believe, a big part of treatment is to connect with someone who has a regulated nervous system, a human who has expertise, who is calm and regulated, so that person can kind of start to feel that way. It just happens naturally over time of talking to someone who's regulated, that you feel better. You feel a little calmer. Even if everything is still chaos, still feel a little better. Now, when it comes to mental illness and AI contributing to mental illness, right? Is that what you're kind of
That is my
asking?
question,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a good question. I don't know that I have the answer, but I think that addiction
Exactly.
to social media, to Netflix, or whatever the things, like whatever we use to distract ourselves from really being present with what we're experiencing, can be problematic, because distraction comes as alcohol, drugs, social media. I mean, everything has its own risks, right? Like drugs, of course, is high risk we're dealing with. But if we're going to use the AI as like, oh my God, this is my only connection, and I need to talk to AI all day and all night, I mean, that's a problem.
It's going to be a problem because if we can say that all population now, well, almost all the population in the world are using a telephone or a technology, because again, we are creating a dependency of that technology. I mean, I don't know if you can tell us something about personally what happens if you lost your telephone, your cell phone.
Right.
I mean, it's gonna be a problem for you because you have a lot of information as itself. The information that you can keep and store in the telephone is massive, is huge, personal, no? But again, we are creating a dependency
That's right.
for the technology. At the end, do you think that we are creating a mental illness or isolation in our society because the use of this technology?
I think it has the capacity to be a big problem. When I was working with children, there were some youth, especially boys, just my experience with young boys, up to, I wouldn't say adolescent. Adolescence starts like in teenage years, right? So even boys, younger. And they would come and they love their video games.
Exactly.
Video games. And they would come, and when I asked them, who was your friend? Their only friend was on the video game. But it wasn't AI, because it was a long time
There's
ago.
another different.
But it was like a person, it was a person, like a real person, but it was someone playing the video game. So the only friend they had was someone playing the video game with them. That's a problem. That's not a real person. How are you learning to communicate as a human being with peers? Like, that's a big socialization is important. And I was seeing it even years ago, like, oh, they just play the video games. And the parents would say, all he wants to do is play video games. It's a problem.
It's because the technology is crossing the barriers of that you can trust in somebody, for example, because the adolescents or the guys that are playing all the day or almost all the day in video games is trusting in what is happening in the environment. So they are trusting, and they are crossing that kind of barriers. Now, for them, is a hard time to probably socialize with another persons if they don't know them physically. If they know them physically, it's more easily for them. It's easy for them to speak with the technology, probably with video game. No, but do you think that it will increase problems with the mental illness for this kind of barriers that this is broken?
I think that in our human development, for anyone from childhood through adulthood, right? From the time we're born to the time we die, let's just say a whole human developmental span. It is really important to have connections with people, actual people. So it starts with parents, caregivers, grandparents, whoever's in the home, right? Those are the primary connections when a child is born. I mean, of course, there's horrible tragedies and children don't have parents and all these other things, but just in general speaking, it's the family, right? Whoever is in the home. And then as a child gets older, it's like they're going to school, and then it's like peers, whoever they're with, and teachers, and maybe they're playing sports, those coaches, like all of that is so important for us to for people to develop a sense of trust in themselves, in another person, in relationships, learn how to connect, learn how to set boundaries, learn how to express what they need, what are their emotions. Like, it's a whole process, right? And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. I mean, it can be hard.
Exactly.
But for someone who, for example, this is what I was seeing, people who have anxiety, so they get nervous around people. They're quiet, they're shy. It's so much easier to connect to a computer, whether it's a video game. Now we have AI, whatever it is, but that's not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't give the same feedback and interactions. Like, it's not the same as with another person. People are complicated. Parents are complicated, grandparents. It's not like there's some manual that everyone, like they're going to be perfect. There's going to be complications or whatever. People are hopefully they're just doing their best as parents or whatever, but it's how do you navigate like a relationship rupturing, something happens and the child is really upset, or the parent is upset or whatever, and now they have to come and work together and work on it. These are not easy things, but they're so important for having healthy relationships later in life, for having stable jobs, for, just being able to connect with other people. And it is concerning if people are relying too much on any kind of technology, because it's not a person.
Of course. But, well, again, I mean, there is a lot of information in the systems, in the platforms. And now, for example, I would like to ask you if somebody, because we know that the information, I mean, the platform is already there, no? Is working now with different psychiatrists, or probably they are developing different platforms to help as a tool. But again, what is, for example, the correct configuration of this kind of platform to create the platform that can diagnose exactly the mental illness? Need to be all the information before the patient create the account need to be informed the family, the policy, the police, sorry, or another kind of regulator. Because what happens if you are using this kind of AI, no? And the patient says in the consultant session, I want to kill myself, no? Or I want to do something that is against of the policies or whatever the regulations. The platform needs to inform the family or the police, right? What do you think needs to be necessary to create this kind of platforms?
It's a very good question. This relates to privacy, security, and safety. And the thing is that there are 3 instances of emergencies in psychiatry.
Okay.
So psychiatry is not surgery, like we cut our arm or whatever. You go to the hospital, you need to see a surgeon, whatever.
Exactly.
In psychiatry, the emergencies are if a person is at risk of harming themselves,
Okay.
if a person is at risk of harming someone else. So I say, I'm going to kill whoever. That's an emergency because that other person is at risk.
Okay.
Or the third one is a little bit more complicated in my experience, but it's when a person cannot take care of themselves at all. They can't take care of their needs. So that's why I say it's a little more complicated. But those are the 3 reasons that a person could get hospitalized, psychiatrically hospitalized against their will. Oh. Otherwise, someone has to sign, yes, I want treatment. Yes, I need this. Yes, I'm going to come in. If they meet, they're going to harm themselves, they're going to harm another person, or they really cannot take care of themselves. And I might not even, this has been a while since I've worked in an emergency room.
Yeah.
Forgive me if it's not the exact terms, but it's something about that. It's about they cannot care for themselves. Then like the family could say, this person cannot take care of themselves. They can also be hospitalized against their will. So these are 3 psychiatric emergencies. I think it is very dangerous to get AI involved in this area. This relates to a professional making an evaluation and being able to make the right connections, whether that's the police, whether that's a hospital, whether if it's a youth, someone younger than 18, it must be the family, whoever, like someone else needs to be involved
Exactly.
for these decisions. So if you've got someone sitting at home on their bed talking to AI, yes, I have thoughts of harming myself. Yes, I don't want to live anymore. I don't know how that's going to get handled in a safe way unless there is a doctor that's right there or something. Like I don't know how that would work. But to me, it's very scary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is because we don't know exactly the process that need to be in the process of mental illness.
Yeah.
But again, when you are, for example, giving recommendation or doing a diagnosis, do you need to ask for the probably parents' data or someone else that can sign because you have any kind of this kind of risk?
So, yeah, this is why I think using AI as a tool is the safest thing. So that would be in a doctor's office, or if it's Skype or Zoom or whatever it is, there's a doctor there, right? Doctor who's going to right away be able to evaluate this information. I don't think it's safe to have this information be transpiring between a patient or a person and the AI, and there's nobody else to like, someone needs to be available to like, oh, this is an emergency. Because what happens, they have AI and someone says, yeah, I'm gonna harm myself, and then does it in front, like there's different ways of harming oneself, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's gonna happen with it? What is the AI gonna do?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if have you
Yeah.
ever seen this movie film or this film that they observe the behavior of person and they can evaluate if they're going to do something wrong with the person or they're going to kill somebody. The film is Minority Report. Minority Report. That this is a
With Tom Cruise.
exactly.
I don't know. I don't remember if I saw that, but okay.
But exactly is because if you think, I mean, for example, now the information is already in the cloud. I mean, and the artificial intelligence and all the platforms are getting information. They are feeding from internet.
Right.
Again, I mean, and the internet has access to cameras, has access to your phone. Even they can how the behavior is of the persons if they want to, because is already there. All the information for everybody is in cell phones. How they know exactly what are you doing all the day, who is the person that you are talking to,
Yeah.
and a lot of things, you know. But I guess, I mean, of course, this is a science fiction movie.
We are living in science fiction now.
Now,
so.
exactly, with all the cars
Yeah.
that are.
Yeah. Everything.
Well, a lot
Everything.
of things, everything. But again, I mean, because we need to use the technology to prevent this kind of problems, because they can probably to notice when is coming something wrong with the persons. They can probably identify patterns or something like that, just in order to help probably the doctors or the professionals.
I think here we get into a very gray area of privacy.
Right.
because I have gone for therapy. I am a professional, and I have gone and received help as well for various things. When I go to the office, I'm with the person, or on Zoom. I'm with with the professional, whoever it is, and then it's over and it's done. Now, if that person is able to see everything I'm doing, I'm like, oh my God, like that's just too much. And then what do they do with that information, and how is it used? Because everything is, as they're saying in English, a double-edged sword. Yes, there's a good side, like, oh, we can predict things, we can know who they're, everybody has a phone, we can know who we're talking to on the computer, on the phone, what we're doing, where we're driving, because we use the GPS. It's like everything is recorded. What is the double-edged, so what is the negative of that? What about when you want to, let's say someone wants to buy a gun? Is the person who's selling the gun going to be able to access all of that information and be like, nope, we're not selling to you. You saw a doctor, you saw a psychiatrist, or you saw a mental health professional. What about getting life insurance? Those life insurance companies, when money's involved, and you know about money because that's part of what you've done.
Exactly.
That is a big deal. They don't want to insure someone who has some erratic behavior, or like, oh, you saw a psychiatrist, you saw that is going to work against you. It's going to work for you and against you. And that's where I come back to discernment. The humans who are utilizing the technology must have discernment of how they use it, and how do they want their professionals to use it, and how do they want their private information to be accessed, because it can go like life insurance, opening up some kind of bank account. Maybe they're going to say, oh, I see that you went and saw these doctors, you have depression, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
People, when I was younger, when I was in, kind of like medical school, but definitely in my psychiatry training, because that was 6 years. It was 4 years of getting expertise in working with adults. And then it was an extra 2 years that I was working with children and adolescents and all this. During that time, I knew of other professionals, other doctors, other therapists, and they were not wanting to use their health insurance to get therapy. They wanted to get the therapy because they needed it for whatever. We all can use some support. They wanted to pay out of pocket cash, right? So
Cash,
that it
just in order to,
so that it wasn't on the record. So think about that. That was many years ago, before AI. So now you want the artificial intelligence to know everything about your life.
Exactly.
Ooh. And then you want to get life insurance, or you want to get whatever. You want to get a loan. You want to get, it could be, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, any of those things. If those people are going to be able to access, oh, you did this and this, now you're high risk, we're not going to let you.
Exactly.
It's a double-edged sword. And this is where we must be discerning about what are we giving to this cloud of AI, and who is going to have access to that, and can it be hacked? Even if they say, oh, it's private, nowadays all of our information can be hacked. It all got hacked in the US.
Absolutely.
So
100%. Everything, every place is hacked, or is vulnerable.
Yes.
Because we cannot trust in third parties. Most of the companies are working with third parties. I mean, they are using clouds that don't belong to them. No?
This
They
is
don't
your
belong to them.
expertise.
Exactly.
I don't know much about it, but you do. And how do you say this is private?
Or is secure, no?
Secure. What is secure?
Well, everything is secure? No, of course not. Nothing is secure. The secure is not secure, because again, everything is vulnerable, and you are relying on the technology that always is changing. And for example, now the bad guys are using artificial intelligence.
I know.
The bad guys, I mean, I understand it. And the bad guys, the hackers, if you want to say it like this, are using exactly this kind of technology to improve their tools to hack the other things. No, of course, there is a lot of things that we need to talk about how they can hack, and what happens if they hack mental illness records of the psychiatrists I don't know, doctor,
God, exactly.
is gonna be I mean, now the regulations, this artificial intelligence is not regulated, and if they are working, there are different classification of AI. So one of them is if this this AI is based on the diagnosis
Yeah.
or the mental or health sector, is a high risk platform and need to be involved the government, need to be involved the regulation, because now in our days this kind of technology is not regulated at all. I mean, it's not regulated. So, but this is important to know exactly from a doctor perspective, like
Yeah.
you, how can we do it? Because all the people are working now or is asking to ChatGPT or another kind of artificial intelligence, and is crossing that kind of barriers. Even when the technology is saying to you, I'm not the person that help in this sector or this
I'm
specific.
not a professional.
I'm not
Right.
a professional. You need to consult a profession, a doctor. But again, they have all the information because the capacity, of course, no.
Yeah.
But again, well, this is very interesting chatting. I mean, I don't know if you want to add something, and we will have to receive your recommendation for the person that are using this kind of technology in order to get a diagnosis.
I think that AI must be used as a tool, just like you would search Google or whatever. Okay, what are the symptoms of depression? Or can you tell me?
Oh my God.
I think this is important.
This is the big recommendation. So we hope we didn't
We have the
hear that
universe
in
like
the. This is like a science fiction movie. So no. Okay.
We must, again, it comes back to discernment, like being very clear that AI is not a human being. AI is not a professional. AI can give some good information probably about depression and anxiety and psychosis and drug like addictions, and it can give information just like we would use like Google or something. But beyond that, to actually know a person, what they're going through, even though it may seem, because that conversation we had before this interview, I mean, I'm still, like I said,
You're
I'm in
shocked.
shock because it was so, it had the tone and the, oh, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. It seems like a person, but I know it's not. But is a teenager going to know it's not a person? Is a child going to know it's not a person? Is someone who's very vulnerable and really at their end, they're feeling very hopeless and helpless, going to know that this is not a person? That's where it gets very scary. So I think as we use it as this is a tool, we don't give information that we wouldn't want the world to know because it's not secure. And where is it going? Even if it feels like it's 2 a.m. and we're under the covers in bed and we think like, oh, this is my friend I'm talking to, or a trusting person. This is not a person. This is not a person. And where is that information going? And it must be used with discernment. And I think for anything with diagnosis, a professional has to be involved. Like has to go right to a professional who can make the judgment and who can contact the necessary people if needed. If it's an emergency.
And do not share any information to this technology, personal information, account information, of course. Well, because it happens.
Oh,
It
I'm
happens
sure it
really.
happens.
Well, and do you want to share your social media?
My Instagram, my professional Instagram is I am sacred ground, IAM, and then sacred ground.
Okay.
And so I will share information there. It's not very active right now, but
No.
my most recent, because I'm constantly learning, training, getting I have just countless certifications, including the medical degree, but so many others.
Of course.
And I just finished a training in astrology, natal astrology.
Wow.
And my passion right now is helping people to understand what, like, because astrology is from natal astrology, is the moment we're born.
Mm-hmm.
There was like, where are the planets and what's going on. I like to help people to understand that in relation to what's going on in their lives. Like, can they understand what I consider this to be? This is a whole other topic, but
Yeah, absolutely.
the blueprint meaning all the strengths and everything that was there to help guide a person in their life. Then when we go through life, we have imprints. We have stress, we have relational things, we have all kind of stuff that happens. But how do we understand that with regards to our strength? You know, how do we understand our blueprint and our imprints with regards to trauma? And this is kind of my passion right now, is like, I consider it astro embodied liberation. It's about how do we free ourselves from
and to look the proposal of your life, no? This is very interesting. Well, we hope you enjoy. We hope we enjoy the raining here now, and we are very grateful to being with you and to discuss exactly this kind of information, because for us in this podcast, in this company, I mean, this new project that is the SOAT podcast. The podcast is Voz de Líderes, or Leader Voice. So this is interesting from the persons like you, like you are a leader, a health person that is helping persons, of course, in the mental illness, or now in another way you are helping either.
Yes.
So we are very grateful to be with you to discuss this kind of information, and thank you again.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you so much. This is very good questions, and it's really making me think, because it's a whole different dimension to add to already mental health profession. You know, how do we work with people and all this? Now AI is adding something that we don't understand yet. And I think these questions, what you're exploring, it's very important.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess that technology could be another factor that you need to take in your seasons, in your sessions, I mean, like because it's affecting all the people. Is an addiction.
Yeah.
All the people, we have an addiction because we are using all the times. I mean, there is another episode that we need to talk to.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonali.